Mother consort claimed to be a time traveler and practiced modern education. She often said, "No need to beat children, just control their lifeline, and they will obey naturally." Since I could speak, she made me recite admonitions for women and lessons for women daily, withholding meals if I failed. To survive, I learned quickly. Later, I entered the Royal Academy. She demanded my maids and matrons write to her daily, requiring at least 3 witnesses to confirm my diligent studies before granting my monthly stipend. All the money was held by the old matron. I could only live at others' mercy. Whether I ate enough depended on the servants' whims, and when ill, I relied on classmates' charity. In the year of worst hunger, I quietly climbed into the carriage of the Prince Regent, who had rivaled Father Emperor for years. Why did the disciplinary matrons say you haven't studied admonitions for women and lessons for women properly these days? You haven't even practiced the blossom dance well. Since both report your disobedience, your next monthly stipend is halved. Consort Chen's word brooked no refusal. With the stipend halved, I would have to rely on just 3 taels of silver to study at the Royal Academy next month. But just last month, I still owed the study 4 taels of silver for brushes and ink. Thinking of this, I still wanted to argue my case. Mother consort, your daughter did study the admonitions for women and lessons for women diligently, but the tutor assigned too much work. I couldn't finish it all in time, which is why I had to memorize the admonitions that night. As for the blossom dance, I went to visit the tutor's wife because she was ill. She raised her slender brows and cut me off impatiently. Everyone else managed to complete it. Why couldn't you? I've told you before, as a princess, you have no business mingling with those commoners. Who told you to lack self-control? Controlling my temper, I patiently explained. I did memorize the admonitions and lessons, and though I didn't practice the dance the day before, I made up for it the very next day. Suddenly, Consort Chen slammed the table. What did you just call yourself? How dare you refer to yourself as I in my presence? Fine, I thought sending you to the Imperial Academy would teach you better manners. How dare you? I stood frozen in place. I didn't understand how things had turned out this way again. My daze was interpreted as silent admission by Consort Chen, who sneered, "So your wings have truly hardened. Your monthly stipend is suspended next month. Kneel in punishment in the main hall today. Should you remain unrepentant, you know my methods." Consort Chen left without a backward glance. I routinely walked to the floor till I polished to a shine with my knees and knelt. The moment my knees touched the ground, my stomach betrayed me with an audible rumble. The prolonged growl brought a burning hunger. I endured the sharp pain, grateful that the sound hadn't reached Consort Chen's ears. That would only enrage her further. After Consort Chen departed, the disciplinary matron arrived. She brought an imperial decree. "Princess Adela, her ladyship's order is for you to kneel here properly. Skip your meal tonight." A flicker of despair crossed my eyes. Using food as leverage. Again, though I was already among the friendliest children in the Imperial Academy, she refused to employ any other tactic. Yet truly, in all the world, nothing matters more than eating. The so-called modern education that Mother Concern forced was simply about making me obedient by withholding meals. Truth be told, if I'd actually followed her methods, I would have starved to death long ago. But stubbornly, I just refused to die. Having enough to eat became the carrot dangling over my head, keeping me, the mule, forever circling the millstone along the path Consort Chen had set. By all rights, studying at the Royal Academy should have guaranteed my every need. Food, clothing, shelter, and travel would be fully provided. But Consort Chen feared that once I left the Reed Palace, her control over me would weaken. So before I enrolled, she laid down 3 strict rules. The most critical one required at least 3 people to write to her confirming I had practiced the blossom dance and recited both admonitions for women and lessons for women before I could eat. Otherwise, my meals would be given to the servants below. Most importantly, my monthly stipend would be docked if I failed to meet the requirements more than 3 times in a month. There were countless other rules. Violating any one of them would earn me punishment from Mother Consort. ranging from going without food to having even my winter padded jacket confiscated. Yet even when I followed every rule, I still couldn't eat my fill or dress warmly because Mother Consort trusted the servants too much. She trusted those sycophantic slaves who knew best how to read the situation and flatter. Her upbringing made me the smallest and thinnest among the princes and princesses of my age. Other young nobles never lacked money. Even the crown prince's least favored study companion had at least 20 taels of silver each month just for social expenses. But my monthly stipend, as calculated by Consort Chen, was originally 6 taels. This even included the money for my daily hot baths and supplies like ink, brush, and paper. By the end of the month, not a single coin would remain. And to keep the matrons and maids from speaking ill of me to Mother Consort, I had to spend some silver on gifts to please them. 6 taels wasn't just insufficient. It was barely enough to fill my stomach. It wasn't that I hadn't spoken to Consort Chen about it, but she couldn't even be bothered to listen. She only said, "Matron Liu told me you were doing well at the Imperial Academy. Don't think you can fool me. How could I be deceived by a mere child like you?" As she spoke, she was applying makeup while tracing her eyebrows. She lifted her head and gave me a mocking, scornful look in the mirror before continuing. "Do you think I'm unaware of your little schemes? I see you've developed other intentions, spending your days avoiding proper studies and making excuses. Common folk women struggle to spend even 1 tael of silver a year, yet you have 6. Why don't you reflect on what's wrong with you?" She, too, knew those were common folk women. I live at the foot of the Imperial City. The Imperial Academy is the dream of scholars across the land. That place is worth its weight in gold. Even finding a leaf to wipe yourself would cost a fortune, not to mention essentials like ink, brush, and paper, which are already expensive. Last month, after careful selection at the bookshop run by the Wong clan of Langia, I bought a worn-out wolf hairbrush. That shoddy thing still cost me 4 taels of silver. When the Imperial Academy first recruited female students, I worked hard to pass the exam, thinking I could finally escape her control. Little did I know she had long been prepared. She even blocked my intended path of seeking financial support from my royal brothers after entering the Imperial Academy. Throughout the entire inner palace, it's known that my mother consort practices what she calls modern education. This matter was something she discussed with the Father Emperor before I entered the Imperial Academy. It was a grand palace banquet, specifically celebrating us princes and princesses who had been admitted to the Imperial Academy. The Father Emperor happily asked the consorts to share how they raised their children. Mother Consort glanced at me triumphantly before launching into a lofty discourse on her philosophy. This humble consort hasn't done much, just never resorted to physical punishment. Whether a child succeeds depends not on beatings, but on learning to grasp their vital pressure points. She smiled while lifting my slender hand. "Your Holiness, see? Our Giada doesn't have a single scar on her body." I knew she was referring to Consort Jing, who was known for using corporal punishment. Hearing this, Consort Jing indeed turned pale and averted her gaze. Consort Chun continued. "Adela had always adhered to the admonitions for women and lessons for women, being very obedient. The child's innate nature matters greatly in whether they are unruly." She implied that those princes who failed to enter the Imperial Academy were ill-behaved, nearly offending every consort in the rear palace. She went on to criticize the others one by one. In the end, she vowed earnestly to Father Emperor, "Your Majesty, I must strictly discipline Adela. None of you may interfere." Father Emperor laughed heartily, but by the banquet's end, my relations with all the princes and princesses had soured. Forget seeking help. They even avoided me when we crossed paths. From time to time, they would remark in my presence, "Princess Adela is truly cautious in speech and action, gentle and respectful." I knew they were saying I was like a dog by Mother Consort's side, but I would rather be a dog. Mother Consort's dogs at least get fed, while when I err, am denied even half a meal. Now kneeling in the grand hall, hunger clouds my mind. Consort Chen actually had a very effective approach to disciplining me. She firmly believed that when a person is hungry enough, they have no energy left for anything else. That's why she never sent anyone to watch over me while I was kneeling in punishment. This also gave me some room to maneuver. Late at night, after everyone had dispersed, I made my way to the side gate of the Reed Palace. A whistle sounded, and several little dogs came bounding toward me. These were dogs that lived in the cold palace. They were the ones left behind after Consort Chen had picked out the best puppies years ago. From the same litter, one puppy lived in luxury, while these, like me, became the most pitiable beings in the rear palace. Fortunately, I still had them. I had taken pity on these puppies and raised them on the rice broth I saved from my own meager meals. Perhaps other eunuchs or palace maids also felt sorry for them and fed them occasionally, which helped them grow to the size. Once grown, my dog sisters could no longer be compared to their fortunate sibling. The dog by Consort Chen's side, pampered with fine food and comforts, had grown as round as a ball. They developed well, toned muscles from constantly guarding against the palace staff who might harm the dogs. Now, these little dogs can also give back to me. As I approached, they whimpered and pressed close, their warm little bodies huddling around me, making the late autumn chill feel less biting even without thick clothing. I petted each one in turn, and the weight in my heart finally lifted. No money, no problem. I could always swallow my pride and ask the teacher again. As I stroked them here and there, I suddenly saw their leader running toward me. It was a white dog, likely malnourished, even in the womb. Born small and fragile, fearing it might not survive, I kept it warm against my chest and always fed it first. Now, it lived up to my hopes, growing into the healthiest and strongest of the pack. When it saw me, it jumped up and placed 2 steamed buns in my hand. I didn't mind that it had bitten them. I took a bite right away. I've lost count of how many times a scene like this is played out. They worked hard to find this food for me. I must treasure it. After eating the steamed bun, my burning stomach finally settled. I patted each puppy and quietly slipped back to the main hall. Along the way, dark clouds shrouded the moon. Not a single ray of moonlight broke through. Thus, the faint candlelight in the main hall stood out starkly against the pitch black night, but I hadn't lit any lamps before I left. As I approached the main hall, several guards seized me. Consort Chen sat at the head, her face full of scorn, decided to return. Have you? My heart was in turmoil, but I kept my composure, nodding calmly. Yes, mother, I just want to relieve myself. She let out a cold laugh. You've grown bold, daring to talk back. If Matron Zhang hadn't noticed something amiss with my Snowy, I wouldn't have discovered you'd stoop to such deeds. My anxiety grew fiercer. My heart felt like it had leaped into my throat, but the more afraid I was, the colder my expression became. Your son merely went to relieve himself. Why would Mother Consort say such a thing? Consort Chen snorted, ordering her attendants to bring me before her. Without a word, she slapped me. I stared at her, my cheek burning with pain. Why would Mother Consort say such a thing? Why strike your son? You stole food. Her voice brooked no argument. I shook my head. There is no one around to bring me food. Has Mother Consort forgotten? Everyone near me is yours. Her eyes were icy, devoid of any motherly affection, only thick coldness and authority. How laughable to wield such authority only over a child like me. You refuse to admit it. Bring up those dogs. My heart seemed to stop beating. A sharp ringing filled my ears as I stood frozen, watching the guards descend and carry up the bodies of several small dogs. My favorite, Little White, was now battered and bleeding, with even its intestines spilling out. I stared blankly at Consort Chen. The ringing in my ears was replaced by her deafening voice. Do you see? This is the price of your idleness. I thought you adored these dogs. You've been starving for days, haven't you? As she spoke, she smiled faintly, a smile brimming with pure malice. Matron Wang, set up the pot, right here. Prepare a bowl of dog meat stew to warm our young mistress. I've heard that dog meat is most nourishing in autumn. My little dog was gone. It now lay buried in the bellies of those matrons. I was forced to open my mouth and swallow a piece. Then came violent retching. I vomited until the world spun dark. And once my stomach was empty, I lay in my room, feeling utterly hollow. So this is what people can be like. Not only living miserably themselves, but dragging down even carefree little dogs. I just wanted to be full. Just wanted a warm, living being to hold me when it was cold. Turns out even that was too much to ask. After being locked in my room for who knows how many days, the palace doors finally opened. Mother Consort entered and told me today was the palace banquet for the Empress Dowager's birthday celebration. Only then did I remember. The reason I was allowed back to the palace was because grandmother's birthday was approaching. Truth be told, I loved palace banquets. They were the only occasions where I could eat my fill. Father Emperor always seated me right before his eyes. And though decorum limited how much I could eat, it was still far more than my usual meals. So I looked forward to it. But now my little dog was dead. At the palace banquet, I couldn't bring myself to smile, seeing my long face. Consort Shin said to Father Emperor, "This child ate before leaving the palace. Her stomach is unwell lately and shouldn't have too much food." Father Emperor glanced at me indifferently, not even bothering to ask if I was truly unwell, then nodded at Consort Shin. Consort Shin has always been attentive in caring for children, so let it be. Remove Giada's meals for now to prevent her from overeating and indigestion. I panicked the moment I saw the maid taking away the dishes. I hastily reached out to stop her. In my fluster, I forgot all about propriety. I only remember shoving the maid aside and desperately guarding the food before me. Naturally, my actions infuriated Consort Shin. She strode over, gritting her teeth, gripped my arm tightly, and ordered me to let go. Then, in a voice only I could hear, she said, "You've behaved so poorly today. Tomorrow's meals are forfeited as well." With that, she handed the food to another maid. After settling this, Consort Shin looked down at the maid I had pushed over. "The moment your master tried to stop you, you fell. What were you scheming? Did you intend to make her overeat? Take her away. I don't want to see her again." Just like that, another life vanished because of my actions. Not wanting others to be punished on my account, I slowly sat up straight. When my eyes met Consort Shin's, I didn't miss the triumph in her gaze, as if saying, "See, this is how I keep you in check." I felt like a monkey pinned under her five-fingered mountain, utterly immobilized. Resign yourself. Acceptance is the best outcome. Perhaps things will improve once I come of age and can marry, but I don't want to. I don't want to live like this. In that moment, it was hard to say whether I felt any self-abandonment. During the palace banquet, I was permitted to step out for some air. My long, suppressed emotions finally found release when I reached the imperial garden. My crying was overheard. The person asked, "Which palace do you belong to?" I hurriedly wiped my tears and hid behind the rockery. "The Reed Palace." The man fell silent for a moment, then said, "If you've been wronged, don't cry here. The Prince Regent's carriage is just ahead. Be careful not to offend nobility." Why would the Prince Regent be here? Alas, court affairs are overwhelming. With the northern clans invading, His Highness the Prince Regent is inevitably troubled. Prince Regent Victor I. I'd heard this name many times from Consort Shin's lips. She said he was Father Emperor's sworn enemy, and her lifelong adversary as well. Back then, she would hold me and murmur, "If only Giada were a prince, then he could help your Father Emperor overthrow the Prince Regent." I too once regretted not being born a son, unable to assist Father Emperor, but now I no longer think that way. Whether he's the Prince Regent or not, if he can challenge Consort Shin, he is my greatest benefactor. Best if he keeps her too occupied to even notice me. That would be perfect. So I secretly climbed into the Prince Regent's carriage. Only the Prince Regent would dare to park his carriage within the Forbidden City and leave it unguarded by any attendants. At the sight of that carriage, I was 80% convinced. When I stealthily boarded it and felt the cold blade against my neck, I was 100% sure. "Who is your master? Tell her I don't care for little girls." In the darkness, the blade gleamed, and so did his eyes. I dare not move, letting him press the knife to my throat. In that instant, my mind cleared. I spoke in a hoarse voice. So, it is your highness the Prince Regent. I mistook this for Father Emperor's carriage and came to investigate. I did not mean to disturb you. Please forgive my intrusion. He withdrew the blade, studying me with keen interest. You lie. You are Princess Adela. Surely you're not here to beg a meal from me? My heart skipped a beat. What makes you say that, Your Highness? He eyed me with a smile. Consort Shen is famously strict in educating the princess. Yet she forbids any beating or scolding, insisting the only way is to control the vital point, by starving her. You don't know it, but your mother consort has become a laughingstock inside and outside the palace. Many are waiting to see the day you starve to death. So they all knew. Does that mean Father Emperor knows too? My life is apparently less important than their mockery of my mother consort. Victor, when had already sheathed his blade. Princess, I have no food here. Your mother consort has forbidden me from giving you any. Please leave. He gestured toward the carriage door, but I remained motionless. Before I knew it, I had pushed my luck and climbed inside the carriage. Victor, when looked startled and tried to stop me, but I had already found the pastries hidden in the compartment and was devouring them ravenously. Since you're so eager to watch me die, I simply cannot die. I won't give these people the satisfaction. And you lied to me. You do have food here, don't you? He frowned at me, but I couldn't care less about that anymore. This was the first time I could eat my fill. For so many years, I had never allowed myself to indulge in a single meal. When I felt I could eat no more, I stopped. Victor, when propped his chin on his hand, watching me. Why stop? Shouldn't you eat your fill all at once? I shook my head. After not eating for so long, no matter how hungry I was, I couldn't lose control. Eating too much would be noticed by mother consort, and it wouldn't be good for my health either. He chuckled. You certainly know how to pace yourself. His smile seemed like tacit approval. After a moment of silence, he urged me to leave. Princess, it's time. The palace banquet is ending, and we both must return. But I clung to the carriage door, unwilling to go. My lord, Giada has no way to repay you. But saving a life is worth more than building a 7-story pagoda. Giada cannot go on starving like this. Where may I find you tomorrow? My lord. He looked at me in surprise. You still want to come find me tomorrow? I nodded calmly. Yes, my lord. Since you've already saved me, save me once more. I beg of you. A moment later, just as I thought he wouldn't agree, he gave a slight nod. Tomorrow, you'll be going to the Imperial Academy. I'll come find you. I knew my eyes must have lit up with hope for survival. It's a deal. Victor, when understood the importance of avoiding suspicion, every time he wanted to see me, he'd send a servant to deliver meals through the side gate. The servant would just leave the food and go. I'd eat quickly, and afterward, the servant would take the empty container away. Within just 7 days of this routine, my waistline had noticeably rounded. With proper meals, my body began to grow properly too. My formerly spindly frame quickly stretched out, and I grew taller than even Consort Chen. This aroused some suspicion in Consort Chen. With the Dragon Boat Festival approaching, she urgently summoned me back to the palace, using the excuse that she missed me after not seeing me for so long. I didn't want to return, but I had no choice. I could only inform Victor when servant. My method of informing him was to write a note and place it in the clean food container. The servant would bring the food box back, and he would naturally see it. We had used this method many times. Most often, Victor when used it to test my studies. Indeed, his meals weren't free. He would periodically test what I had learned, having the servant bring me exam questions. I would answer them right after eating, and if I failed, he would scold me that very day. A scolding was just a scolding, neither painful nor bothersome, unlike Consort Chen, who would withhold my meals. Truthfully, I was reluctant to leave the Imperial Academy, but since returning to the palace was only for a few days, I could bear it. But this time, it seemed I had truly miscalculated. Consort Chen was furious. Seeing my figure had grown more graceful, she grew even angrier. Did you enter the Imperial Academy just to learn these tricks of seduction? Developing so well now. I wonder whose hands have been molding you. I was stunned when I heard this. Is this something a mother should say to her daughter? So I retorted, Mother consort. I'm just at the age of development. You've said it yourself. All women must go through this stage. Smack. She hurled her teacup at me. The shard of azure, glazed porcelain grazed my cheek, nearly leaving a bloody mark. I stared unblinkingly, my gaze locked fiercely on her. Consort Chen, I am merely at the age of natural development, not shaped by anyone's touch. My defense only fueled her anger further. Sure enough, Consort Chen rose from her seat and stormed over to me, arm raised to strike, but I caught her wrist mid-swing. Mother, have you had enough of this scene? Her face flushed crimson with rage, her pointing finger trembling slightly. How dare you accuse me of making a scene? Look at what you've become. If I hadn't given birth to you, would you even be a princess? I bore you not to be fondled by men, you wretched thing. Every portion of your meals was meticulously measured. You couldn't have developed like this naturally. As she spoke, she couldn't help but steal a glance at her own figure. I had only ever seen this expression on her in one situation. That was when she was jealous of others. She would glance at others while sizing up her own form, then finally spit out some sour remarks, as if afraid others wouldn't notice her envy. Now she was using the same act on me. Disgust churned within me, though I kept my expression neutral, and said to her, "Then, what does Mother Consort suggest? Should I shrink back into myself?" She glared coldly at me. "I never taught you to speak back to your Mother Consort. You've grown too bold. Since you refuse to admit it, we shall take this to your father Emperor and let the court of the Imperial clan investigate your affairs." A chill ran through me. She actually intended to take it this far. Father Emperor has several children. The eldest prince is disabled and now lives in seclusion near the capital. The second and third princes died young. The fourth prince still lives, but, disliked by Father Emperor, has been in his fiefdom for years. As for the fifth and sixth princes, their mother consorts are merely noble ladies without power or influence. Now, the one who holds the most favor in Father Emperor's eyes throughout the entire palace is actually me, the eldest princess Jada. So I stopped kneeling, stood up, and stared directly at her. "Then let's take this to Father Emperor." With that, I turned and left. Consort Chen began to panic the moment my foot stepped out the door. She said I had grown arrogant and disobedient, that I didn't understand her good intentions, that she only wanted what was best for me, no matter what she said. I kept walking toward Father Emperor's Hall of Serenity. Since she wants the court of the Imperial clan to investigate me, she shall have her wish granted. Let's see which is more severe, my seeking Victor one for a meal, or her long-term mistreatment of Imperial heirs by denying them enough to eat. In truth, it was Victor who gave me the idea to escalate the matter. During one examination, he asked me only one question. As a ruler, how should one deal with those who conspire against the royal clan? Such a question was far too simple. Just follow the established laws and impose severe punishment. After all, royal affairs are the affairs of the realm. One must set an example for all. If conspirators against the royal clan are not harshly punished, then the emperor is not fit to rule. Perhaps it was this very question that made everything click into place for me. That's right. If anything happens, I can just take it straight to Father Emperor and see whether Consort Chen or I will be more afraid. Sure enough, before I could even step out of the Reed Palace, she sent someone to stop me. Then she tried to punish me again. "How dare you use your Father Emperor to intimidate me? You deserve punishment. This time, you will stay confined in the palace without any food until after the Dragon Boat Festival before returning to the Imperial Academy." "No, wait. Since you're about to meet potential prince consorts, there's no need to return to the Imperial Academy. 3 years have passed, and you've finished the 4 books and 5 classics anyway. I will speak with your Father Emperor tomorrow. You won't be going back to the Imperial Academy." The Dragon Boat Festival banquet was a family feast hosted by Father Emperor, attended only by us princes and princesses, along with some favored consorts. Consort Chen had originally planned to bring me, but this time she was angry and said she would go alone. But she probably never expected that I could sneak out. The previous dog hole hadn't been properly sealed, so I dug it open and slipped out unnoticed. Father Emperor and the others were in the Imperial Garden, but I wasn't heading in that direction. Instead, I went toward the palace gates. Victor Wen's carriage was indeed waiting there. He must have been waiting for some time. As soon as I saw him, I started eating without a word. Victor Wen waited until I finished before speaking. The northern clans have invaded, and their forces are formidable. Your father, Emperor, has decided on a political marriage, and you are the only princess suitable to offer. My movements paused slightly. Then I continued eating. No wonder Consort Chun insisted I return at this time. She's never been this urgent about summoning me back to the capital for past family banquets. It seems this matter was orchestrated by her own hand. Ever since having children, she's wanted a little prince. With me gone, she'll have time to prepare for pregnancy. Who knows? She might even bear another brother. There was something new in Victor Wen's gaze when he looked at me. Something I couldn't decipher. Perhaps pity. What do you intend to do? I thought for a moment. I will agree to the political marriage, but this marriage will not come to pass. He gave a soft hum of acknowledgement. How can you be sure? I smiled, brushing crumbs from the corner of my lips. Consort Chen is racking her brains to use me as a stepping stone, but our dynasty is not without capable fighters. Moreover, you won't allow me to go. He looked at me with keen interest. I merely gave you a meal. Don't flatter yourself. I shook my head with certainty. You definitely won't let me leave. I am the only royal offspring who has shown you goodwill. Now that you're past 40 and your health has long been failing, you need someone who won't turn against you after ascending the throne. I am your best choice. For the past 6 months, every question you've tested me on has been about essays on kingship. You even inquired in detail about how to counter the northern clan's invasion, confirming that I possess the bearing of a ruler. He laughed heartily several times. The princess is clever, but whomever I wish to become emperor will become emperor. Your father, Emperor, ascended the throne this way, and so shall you. I gazed at him deeply for a moment, then rose and took my leave. Farewell, my lord. This princess must now go to the Imperial Garden to seek an audience. In the Imperial Garden, wine cups clinked and shadows of figures swayed. Every one of them was my bloodkin, especially the one seated on the dragon throne. Yet upon seeing them, I must still bow and kneel, disguising myself as a mere subject. Father Emperor looked somewhat surprised to see me. Jada, why have you come out? Didn't Consort Chen say you were unwell? I cast a meaningful glance at the uneasy Consort Chen, then bowed deeply to the Emperor. Your daughter knows the situation in the Northwest is dire, which is why I came specifically to see you. Father Emperor. The cheerful laughter in the Imperial Garden froze, and everyone watched my actions in silence. I knelt before Father Emperor, my posture ramrod straight. Your daughter is willing to enter a political marriage with the northern clans to secure 10 years of peace for the Shang dynasty. Father Emperor gazed at me deeply. His silence rendered the entire court mute. You have immense audacity. How did you come to know of this matter? I turned my gaze toward Consort Chen. For the first time, I saw fear flicker in the depths of her eyes. The inner court must not interfere in state affairs. If I were to accuse her, she would surely fall from Father Emperor's favor and be consigned to the cold palace. Yet I did not say that. In my 3 years at the Imperial Academy, I studied not only the 4 books and 5 classics, but also military strategy and agriculture, never allowing myself a moment of idleness. I have long been aware of the northern clan's covetous designs upon the Shang dynasty. If this matter can be resolved through a political marriage, it is far better than forcing the sons of our dynasty to leave their homes and endure the hardships of war. After a long silence, Father Emperor spoke. Accompany me to the imperial study. The court is dismissed for today. The Dragon Boat Festival concluded with Father Emperor formally bestowing upon me the title of Princess Jada. My title was Jada, now prefixed with Elder, yet it bears no resemblance to the honor it once held. Now, everyone within and beyond the palace addresses me with utmost respect as the Elder Princess. Once it was confirmed I would undertake the political marriage, rewards from the Father Emperor flooded into my new palace like falling snow. How ironic. Once neglected, now that I'm to sacrifice myself for the nation. He suddenly values me. I finally have a palace of my own. Consort Chen was furious. She had intended to claim credit using me, but now the achievement is solely mine. Though the Father Emperor rewarded her as well, she remained deeply unsatisfied. Victor Wen sent me several letters, urging me not to worry, but to prepare for the political marriage. Indeed, it was a risky move. I must trust Victor Wen, yet also brace myself for the possibility of never returning to the Shang Dynasty. However, just before my political marriage, Victor Wen's letters abruptly ceased. My urgent messages to him vanished without a trace, as if sunk into the sea, yielding no response. Until the day I went again to pay respects at Consort Chen's palace. She threw a stack of letters in my face. How dare I not remember teaching you to consort with men outside the court? You are now a princess, about to represent the entire Shang Dynasty in a political marriage. How could you write so many letters to Victor Wen? That treacherous rebel is a full 30 years older than you. Have you no shame? What does it matter that he's 30 years older? I never had any improper thoughts about him. I only occasionally wondered if he might be willing to help me, or at least see potential in me. Consort Chen made a huge scene and even brought Father Emperor. She accused me of disrespect, never paying my respects, and conspiring with the Prince Regent, perhaps even colluding with the northern clans. Your Majesty, you know exactly what kind of man Victor Wen is. He must be harboring sinister ambitions, deceiving Jiada to seize power and usurp the throne. I beg your Majesty, for the sake of my service to you, to spare Jiada. She pleaded for leniency, while pouring every drop of blame on me. I laughed coldly. I've finally waited for this day. So, this is the moment Victor Wen told me to wait for. A stroke of inspiration hit me. I sealed my lips and blocked the Father Emperor's words with just one phrase. Your child is tongue-tied and cannot defend myself. Then the Father Emperor helped me to my feet. The Father Emperor laughed in exasperation. He said to Consort Chen, these past days, Victor Wen led troops to the northern clans. Today, a battle report arrived. Tomorrow, he returns triumphant. You say he has wolfish ambitions. Then what does that make I? A foolish and incompetent ruler? As he spoke, he pointed at Consort Chen and snarled viciously. Seize this vile woman. She is the one colluding with foreign powers, biting the hand that feeds her. I abruptly lifted my head. The Father Emperor had discovered it. Consort Chen was thrown into the dungeons of the court of the imperial clan. From the highest ranking consort, she became a person of the most heinous crimes. In the court of the imperial clan, she muttered to herself, it can't be. How could it end like this? I went to see her. She lunged at me suddenly. You told the Father Emperor. How did you know? I smiled at her. Mother Consort claims to be a time traveler, yet possesses no other knowledge, instead enforcing an education akin to the wolf, like customs of the northern clans. Most importantly, Mother Consort, you do not love me. You hate Father Emperor. You have more than once whispered slander about Victor Wen, Father Emperor's strongest supporter, hoping one day I would hate him as you do. Consort Chen's execution was scheduled for this autumn. Father Emperor didn't even put on a show, merely disposing of her secretly. Consort Chen likely never imagined, even in death, that her downfall was merely a trap set by me and Victor Wen. The prolonged growl brought a burning hunger. I endured the labor pains, relieved that the sound hadn't reached Consort Chen's ears. It would only have angered her further. Why would Consort Chen plot against the imperial clan? In truth, there are only a few reasons, for herself or for her son. But Consort Chen had nothing. It seemed she acted for no reason at all, simply to torment me. She desired for me to hate this nation, hate my Father Emperor, hate everything here. And so she did just that. Yet I did not understand. I am merely a princess. Why go to such lengths? Until Victor Wen told me, she wants you to enter a political marriage. After 3 years at the Imperial Academy, you've mastered all there is to know. Once you're sent to the northern clans, you'll become their finest strategist. As long as you pass on your knowledge, the northern clans will grow ever stronger. So that's how it is. Fortunately, I didn't go. But after Consort Chen's death, Victor won, and I stood together once more. I forced my father emperor's abdication. I want to be emperor, openly and without pretense. Victor Win gave me his full support. When he saw it was me forcing the abdication, Father Emperor slumped in defeat. My dear Giada, why must it be you? I smiled. Father Emperor, I've wanted to try this for a long time. Having crossed into this world 15 years ago, what I've most longed to experience is the taste of power from this dragon throne. He fell silent for a moment, then asked Victor Win, you helped me ascend to the throne back then, and now you're helping my daughter. Why not claim the title of sovereign ruler for yourself? But Victor Win just smiled, because she is more suited to it. When I took the throne, Father Emperor became Emperor Emeritus. Victor Win remained as the Prince Regent, but I firmly believed he wouldn't live much longer either. After all, I'm not exactly a pushover myself.